So this nice spot of pasture here is the roof of the fortress at Eben Emael, and this is the place where the German paratroopers landed just after 4 on the 10th of May 1940. This gun emplacement here I've got behind me is the Maastricht 2 gun emplacement, with one gun still in. The gun that was originally on the right hand side from where I'm standing now, that was knocked out by a blast of explosive, which killed the people on the gun, and actually forced 3 people, telephone operators, into their own little telephone cubicle, and they were actually the only people who were glad to see the Germans arrive were them, because they were trapped inside their little cupboard-like thing for 38 hours. So here we can see the other cupulars and emplacements, I should say. I think that's probably the best word. And the biggest guns were the ones in the centre, knocked out of course, and these ones got Maastricht. They could fire in the direction of Maastricht, hence the name. Maastricht very close to here. So Maastricht's in Holland, and it's in Belgium, and Maastricht's in the area what's called Dutch Limburg, and on the other side of that is the German city of Aachen. Now the glider pilots who actually came here took off from 3 airfields around Cologne, and the gliders were released somewhere just over the German-Dutch border, and they glided their way down onto here and went about their task. And as can be seen now, well, as you can see, it's pretty flat. The hillside though is like forest. Oh, I think somebody's growing some crops here or something. I can't quite work this one out. Now the they definitely are crops. The question was asked before the operation took place: what conditions could they, and how many gliders could actually land here? 11 gliders were set out, but it was decided they could only land in hours of light, and so they landed here absolutely at the crack of dawn on Friday the 10th of May. There's a plane coming down now. That one hasn't got a glider attached to it, so it's probably released its glider. Central cupula would have been somewhere in this area. Obviously this has been redone. It seems to be a ventilation shaft to me. And so we have emplacements for 75mm guns, and we have the big 220mm guns, which are the heaviest guns, which have the longest range. They could give covering support to all the other fortresses in the region. Because it wasn't just this was the central fortification, this was the central artillery point, but there were plenty of others in the area as well. Now the construction of this fortress must have taken up a sizable chunk of Belgium's defence budget in the pre-war years. It was the decision to make it actually dates to the late 20s. Construction started in 1932, that's to say before Hitler came to power. Of course then there was no danger whatsoever, but many people did remember the First World War, when some 90% of Belgium was occupied, and probably material damage in Belgium per capita was the greatest of any of the countries fighting in the First World War. So Belgium, above all, had good reason to want to defend itself. I stand to be corrected on that one. Now, at the other side of this wall, or whatever, here should be the Albert Canal, unless it's dried up. And this emplacement here was largely to defend the line of the Albert Canal. The Albert Canal, incidentally, was also one part of the British plan, or Franco-British plan, in the event of hostilities breaking out. French and British were to advance the line of the Albert Canal, as well as holding lines along the French frontier. Also, the British were to advance to Breda in Holland. Now, the problem was that this was not coordinated with the Belgians. Belgium maintained strict neutrality, and this neutrality was even to such an extent that as late as December 1939 there was just as many troops guarding the frontier with Holland as were guarding, with France, as were guarding the frontier with Germany. Obviously the border here is with Holland, but because it's so close to Germany, it's a logical place for attack. Furthermore, in the south is the Ardennes, which was considered to be too difficult to base an attack from there. In 1914, the German troops had poured through a narrow corridor between the Ardennes and the Dutch border. The result of this had been, in my opinion, actually it held up because the front wasn't wide enough, and it held up the German advance at places such as Liège, at Namur. There's a number of fortifications around Liège which could only be reduced after heavy bombardment from serious weaponry, and this, I think, allowed France, and with a little bit of help from the United Kingdom, to get its act together and stage a successful defence in the First Battle of the Marne in September 1914, which resulted in a German withdrawal and trench warfare starting out. So it's a very pleasant day today. Today is the Sunday, the 27th of September 2009, and the weather is absolutely wonderful. It's really hot, and once again I find myself overdressed. I really need short trousers on rather than these long ones I've got on now. Right, so the Albert Canal must be down there, through the vegetation, I imagine. Let's see. Can't see it from here. Well, it's down there somewhere. And beyond that is the River Meuse, or Belgium.